Hey, I'm Valerie Milano from the Hollywood Times, and I want to welcome Elham here with us today with his movie Yellow. And we're going
Hi.
to talk a little bit about it. It's a very thought-provoking film, and thank you so much for sharing it. And I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Hi guys, my name is Elham Ehsas. I am a filmmaker, born in Afghanistan, currently living in London and making films about my home and identity.
Wonderful. Well, I know how much I enjoyed it. To me, it was a simple story. A young woman shopping for the mandatory Chandari, and the young man who helps her in the shop. It speaks loudly of the situation facing Afghan women and girls under the Taliban rule, in its simplicity. Was there a specific inspiration for the story, or is this merely an exemplary metaphor for the situation?
Well, actually, the idea for the film came about after I was watching the original news conference by the Taliban when they decreed that the Chadari, the blue overall body veil that is synonymous with Afghanistan, has to be worn by all women. So I was watching that live, and that made me realize that there are women who'd never actually worn it, and now they have to go and shop for one. And I thought that was interesting. I thought I wonder what would happen if you put a woman in a room full of chadaris that she's never worn before, and how that interaction would be. And there's space in there for humor. There's scope for drama, humor, and I think that's the best way to get a message across is through humor, because humor is the thing that kind of connects us all. So that's where it came from.
Okay, yeah. Part of this was filmed on location in Afghanistan and part in the UK. How difficult was it to film in Afghanistan? And did you have to acquire permission to film there? What was that process like?
Well, filming in Afghanistan, it was a lot of exteriors that we shot there. And actually, my good friend and DOP, Kareem Shah, who was in Kabul at the time, shot all of the exterior shots that we needed for the film. And the interior shots were in London because obviously the sensitivity of the subject, I would never have gotten permission to shoot that in the country. So we had to split. We split just because I wanted to ground it in authenticity and I wanted to show the world and build Afghanistan and what it actually looks like. And then the interiors we just shot in Hackney in London.
And in the permits?
Oh, I'm a short. I make short films, so I never do permits. I just rock and roll. We just shot without telling anyone. In fact, we were shooting exterior shots in London without permits, and we had a crowd around us because they thought that we were shooting Top Boy. So that attracted the council. So there were workers coming in, but by then we'd finished exterior shooting, so we were inside. And they were like, "Did you guys shoot outside?" And I was like, "Absolutely not. I would never do such a thing." But I did. I never get
Oh,
permit.
wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah. No. It's just because making short films, the budget is so low, and I just feel like the red tape and bureaucracy of filmmaking, I don't let that stop me when making films, because the story is more important, and I kind of try and get it
Excellent.
however way I can. Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah,
Uh,
thanks.
yeah. The facial expressions of the young women, while she was looking at the Shandaris, was so telling of her emotions. Fascination turning to resignation was
Mm.
clearly part of this film's message, and she delivered it so well. Is she someone with whom you were acquainted with before you shot this film?
Yeah, actually, Afsaneh Dehrouyeh, who is the actress, the lead actress in my film, we've worked together on my first ever short film that I did, and I cast her in that. And that film, it went on to be BAFTA longlisted, and it's on 3.1 million views. It's called Our Kind of Love. If anyone wants to catch it, it's on YouTube. But
Okay.
when I worked with her on that film, I realized how special she is, and just her range of emotions and her acting prowess is just it was incredible. So I knew that I wanted to work with her again. So yeah, we have history. We have history that we've worked together before. Yeah.
Well, on that note, clearly the young man, being you, was attracted to the young man, and your facial expressions seemed to shout, "We shouldn't cover up such a beautiful face."
That's
It was
right.
such there was such a certain sadness to your face as well. Is this how men feel about the Taliban orders, that they are unfair, particularly in the imposition of penalties on the men for the women not wearing the mandated clothing?
Well, actually, that's a really, really good question, Valerie. Um, I was at a Q&A once, and someone said, "How did you write this film so well from a perspective of a woman?" And I thought about that question, and the most natural answer was I didn't write it from the perspective of a woman. I wrote it from the perspective of a man. And the Afghan men, they have wives, daughters, sisters, mothers who can't work, who don't have access to education. They haven't had access to school since August 2021. They're all female schools are closed. Women and girls are all at home. And they have brothers, they have fathers, they have husbands, they have sons who care for them. And yeah, absolutely. That was an emotional reaction of a lot of men. And a lot of men walked out of universities, they walked out of they're studying medicine, they walked out of their lectures because their female colleagues and students weren't allowed. So yes, Afghan women do feel that they don't that what's happening is wrong. Why are women not allowed to go to and have an education? It's incredibly in this day and age. Why is that happening?
The music was magnificent, and its simplicity, and it's
Rabab.
Rabab. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. That's right. Playing was a perfect accent to the simplicity of the story. And the cinematography was again perfect, particularly the close-ups. Uh, of her face. You could seemingly see sadness in her eyes. Were those shots something on which you collaborated with your cinematographer? And was it difficult shooting in such tight quarters in that shot?
absolutely. So my cinematographer, Yanis Manolopoulos, who I've worked with before, is an incredible DOP. And usually when we work together, we sit down and we meet a few times and we really block out the shots. So we really collaborate together to find the best shot that tells the best story that we're trying to tell. So we would storyboard and we'd block the scenes out. And yeah, the place was completely cramped and really tiny, but we made it work and it added to that whole feeling of claustrophobia where she walks into it's almost like a little cave that's a little bubble that's away from the modern world. And she walks into this lair full of chowdhuries that, and at the end, she surrenders to it. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's with Yanis, my DOP is completely collaborative and we work together to try and get the best shots.
Nice. And the music, you want to say anything about that?
Yes, the music. So the music was composed by my good friend Qais Isar, who is actually based in America. And you can check out his Spotify, his incredible rabab music.
Oh, good.
So the instrument he plays is the national instrument of Afghanistan. And he composed the song that my character plays in the film. So that's Qaisisar, Qaissar. Yeah, definitely
Glad you
check him out.
spelled it. I'm glad you spelled it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's next? Where's the film at?
Yes, so the film so far has played at around 15 Oscar qualifying festivals. It's BAFTA qualified. It's played at 8 BAFTA qualifiers. It's been playing in festivals all over the world. It played at Palm Springs, Manhattan Shorts. It's played 500 cities around the world across 6 continents. So that's been incredible. And I'm always getting messages on Instagram just of people who've seen it and that they have such an emotional response to it, which is great because making films is hard, Valerie. Making films is so tough, especially short films, because you are expected to do the same thing a feature film does, but in 10 minutes or 12 minutes with a tenth of the money, 1/20th of the money, and it's tough. So when I get messages like that, it makes me feel like it's worth making films. So it's always a good feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. And how can we find you in the film? What the website or your
Oh yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram. It's at Zoradzo, Zoradzo. I don't have I've got Twitter as well, but I don't really use it that often. But yeah, Instagram I'm active on, so you can reach me on that. Also, my website, ilhami.co. You can find out more about the film on there. Yeah, I'm just a click away. Who isn't? You
Just a
know?
click away. I love it.
Yeah.
Are you thinking of your next project at all?
Yes, I am. So I'm actually writing a feature film with the BFI, the British Film Institute, based on my first short film that Afsaneh is in. It's called Our Kind of Love, and it's about an Afghan village girl who comes to the UK for an arranged marriage. So
Can't
that's
wait.
next.
Keep
Yeah,
us posted, please. We are the Hollywood Times dot today, and our YouTube is the Hollywood Times official. And I just enjoyed meeting you virtually and talking
too,
about your
Valerie.
film.
Thank you
Yay.
so much for having me. It's
All
been
right.
brilliant.
Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Brilliant.
We will keep in touch. So, yay.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to it. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks. You too.
Bye bye.